Okay, so today we're going to cover some information on XP3. This is a dealer training info session. And we have Trevor here from a rep of ours in northeast or northwest Alberta, northeast BC area, right?
That's right, yep.
So we're just going to jump right into this thing here. So there's two types of additives on the market. There's retail consumer grade products that you find at the local stores, big box stores, truck stops, etc. And then there's industrial strength commercial grade additives. Those industrial strength commercial grade additives are usually more difficult to find. Some people don't even know they exist, but the ones that know it exists are only using the industrial strength commercial grade version of additives in their operations right around the world. So consumer grade products are used by consumers, and industrial strength commercial grade products are used by industry. What we're talking about here is pure professional grade versus diluted consumer grade products. Just a little bit of background, XP Lab is the manufacturer of XP3. They started in San Diego, California back in 1989, so they've been around for over 30 years. And they recently moved into a new industrial zone in Poway, California. They started solving problems for ocean freighters related to water, moisture, poor combustion, soot deposits, and then expanded into all other aspects of diesel-powered equipment in our economy. It is used globally by industry. These are examples of Fortune 500 companies that are using XP3 in some of their operations, and a lot of them are actually listed, XP3 is listed as in their standing operating procedures when it comes to handling fuel in their operations. And again, these are customers of XP Lab around the world. They're not necessarily XP3 Canada's clients, but some of these logos like Green for Life, the GFL refinery in Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, uses XP3 in the manufacturing of diesel fuels, specifically to solve problems they were having with water, moisture, and oxidation and discoloration of the fuel that they were coming out of that plant. It treats over 4 billion liters of fuel every year in more than 28 different countries. So the main functions of what XP3 does, it's got deposit control detergents that helps keep the internal components of your engine clean, as it was intended when it came out brand new from the manufacturer. It has stability improvers, which stabilizes and purifies fuels. Combustion improvers, so a more complete burn of the fuel equals more power and less unburned hydrocarbons, less emissions. It's got lubricity improvers, which lubricates and protects the entire fuel system. It's got anti-gel cold flow improvers to maintain cold weather operability. Very important, especially in some Canadian winters that we get lots of weather. Water dispersants. This is probably the most important feature of any additive. With the biofuel content today, so the bio in diesel and the ethanol in gasoline, those compounds are agroscopic, which means that when it comes out of the pump, yes, it might meet ASTM specification as spec fuel. But if you let it sit in a tank that you're exposed to hot, cold, or humidity, the bio content in that fuel absorbs moisture and increases the parts per million of water in that fuel, which can then cause multiple other problems related to water, moisture, condensation, microbacterial infestation. It's really bad. Water and fuel is something that fleets have to manage, and if they don't, they can come across problems that they don't want. And again, if you're talking about fleets, everybody's looking for a positive ROI. This is a positive ROI product. For an input cost of 3 to 4 cents per liter to treat, you're gaining 4 to 8% of better fuel economy right off the top from tank one, but you're also getting the increased lubricity for your injector pumps, and all of the other functions that are not specifically directly related to a return on fuel economy, but very important in the operation of equipment in large fleets. So XP Lab has been serving industrial, recreational, and commercial markets for over 30 years. Typical, what we've seen in Canada, the off-road heavy equipment, over-the-road, Class 7, Class 8 trucks, agriculture, those are the areas that we see the biggest volume and the biggest benefits. But if you look in the center row, small engine power sports on the gas side, we've kind of gotten a cult-like following with the snowmobile, ATV, motorcycle, small engine. One of the things that I can quote is the SSSRA, the Saskatchewan Straight Line Snowmobile Racing Association. A lot of their top racers there actually 10x XP3 gas in their sleds, and they're posting numbers that they've never posted before and winning races. And the person in charge of that association went to the extent of testing XP3 in a spectrometer to see if it shows up as a banned substance for racing, and it does not. So if you know anybody in the racing world, it could be motocross, snowcross, dirt track racing, if they want to get an advantage from a fuel standpoint, and it's not illegal to use, it does not show up on a spectrometer, XP3 might be the ticket for them to get that extra edge. How you doing there, Trevor?
Good. Yeah.
So far, so good?
Yeah.
If I come up across anything that you just want to comment on or need expand, just let me know.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. And if I hear a bit of background noise, do you want to hit mute? And then when you want to talk, just unmute, and then the recording will be clearer.
Uh-oh. I'm not sure where the mute button is.
Okay.
On this fancy deal.
Okay, that's fine. You'll just have some background noise in the recording a little bit.
Okay.
So let's go back to the retail consumer grade products that the majority of customers are using. Those products contain diluting fillers like hydrocarbons, petroleum distillates, and other non-functional compounds. And the main reason they're doing that is that these products are intended for retail consumers, not industrial, bulk, or professional. And the retail consumer has been trained, the larger the bottle, the lower the price, it feels like a better deal. And that's what retail consumer grade products are doing. If you owned a warehouse and you hired a company to come and clean the floors, they wouldn't be buying Mr. Clean at Walmart. They'd be using an industrial strength, commercial grade cleaner to do the job. Let me just give me 1 second here. I'm going to see if I can find a way to mute it from my side because the background noise is really coming in.
Oh, is it not muted now?
No. Let me just see here. Okay, here we go. I can mute it. Okay, so now the background noise is muted. If you want to get my attention, there's a chat box, I believe. You want to do a test on the chat box to make sure it pops up? Here, I'll unmute you.
Yeah. Maybe I should go move downstairs then if it's lots of noise.
Well, what I can do is I'll mute you, and then in between, once in a while, I'll ask if there's any questions that unmute, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to mute you now. Okay. So when you take light crude oil and you refine it, 20 to 30% of light crude is sold to the market as gasoline and 35 to 55% as diesel. The stuff in the middle that the refinery cannot sell as gasoline or diesel is considered a distillate fuel. Sometimes they call it a middle distillate fuel. And it has multiple application. But mainly what happens with retail grade additives is that they use that as the filler, which is not what you would want because it's not meant to be burnt as gasoline or diesel, but it'll still kind of burn. So that's very important for consumers to know, that if they're using a retail grade additive, that they check the MSD sheet. If the majority of the compounds are a filler or a petroleum distillate, then they know that they're dealing with a consumer grade product, not an industrial strength, purely concentrated product. So there's 6 different ways to help determine what an additive can actually do. Any additive, doesn't matter what it is. The first one that you want to check is the MSD sheet. Does it contain a petroleum distillate filler? Here's the MSD sheet from a product called House. The first and third ingredients are petroleum distillates. The active ingredients in that product is ingredient number 2 and 4, and that's how they're able to get, some anti-gel properties out of those extra ingredients. But if they were to sell a purely concentrate, industrial version of their product, that massive jug that you see at the truck stops would actually be a little vial, 15 to 40% and 1 to 5% of the active ingredients. Same thing here with stanidine, which is another retail grade additive. The majority of the first ingredient is petroleum. Then the third ingredient is petroleum as well, and other fillers. They also have ether in that product as well, as you can see there on the 4th line. Any questions, Trevor, on this so far?
No, okay. We're doing good.
Okay, I'll keep rolling here. The second test is a test for carbon detergency value. You want an additive that has the ability to break down carbon, soot, and deposit in your engine. And what you see here in the image is the top view of a pop can. On the bottom of pop can, there is carbon-based ink. If an additive has a high detergency value, it will break down the ink. If it doesn't, it won't. Very simple test to do. If you want to see that test, you can just send a customer to detergency.xp3.ca. The next test is combustion efficiency and particulate matter. So from the same can, you take a torch and you light the additive on fire. If the additive has a high combustion value, it'll burn clean and stable. If it does not, it'll burn darker, unstable, and dirty. And some of the worst retail grade additives will actually emit particulate matter, which is a major problem for tier 4 emission controlled engines with diesel particulate filters and DEF fluid. If you're adding something to your fuel that makes it burn worse, that's going to have a negative impact on your post-combustion stream emission equipment. Burn.xp3.ca is where you can see a version of this test. The next one is unburnt residues and lubricity. So after the additive burns down on the bottom of that pop can, the only thing you want to see is a clean yellow golden lubricating agent. So there's such a thing as A, the wrong lubricator for a diesel fuel, B, not enough lubricity in a diesel, and C, too much lubricity in a diesel. So here in the picture to the right, this is the result of XP3, a clean golden colored compound, which is the right type of lubricator in the right quantity. And then on the other side here, you see a gunky residue, a gunky residue left behind. So burn.xp3.ca will take you straight to that test. Now, here's another test that's probably the most critical one. How does the additive behave with water and moisture? You simply put the additive, you don't need test tubes to do this. You can do it in a clear cup, or even sometimes those little clear shooter cups that you can buy at the dollar store. Put a couple of drops of water in the additive that you're validating or testing. if the additive has the ability to control water and moisture, you'll be able to see it break down. If it doesn't, it won't. The second thing to know in this test is if the additive you're testing is able to break it down, you want to double check the MSD sheet to make sure, excuse me, you want to double check the MSD sheet to make sure that the product does not contain any alcohol. Alcohol would give the appearance of doing something or some function with water, but because alcohol is volatile, as it evaporates, the function that it gave initially will be removed, and then the water will fall back down at the bottom of the tank out of suspension. Water.xp3.ca is where you can see that test. Okay, this test here is, you need to do it in a laboratory environment because it requires hydrochloric acid. So it's a test to see how well an additive can stabilize fuel. And it's literally an acid test on the ability to restore broken down and degraded fuel. So you need glass test tubes. You fill it half with diesel, and you put 2 drops of hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid will simulate the breaking down, phase separation of the fuel, and then you add the additive into the test tube. If the additive has a high stabilizing factor, it will be able to restore and regenerate the fuel back to spec. If you want to see that test, a video of that test, you just go to restore.xp3.ca. And here's a big one. Dyno testing an additive will show you if an additive can get you better fuel economy, and hand in hand with a dyno test is an emissions test. So you're either able to burn the fuel more as energy or not. If you do, it will show up as more torque on a dyno and will show up as less unburnt hydrocarbons in the post-combustion stream of that engine. So when this was actually done by Clearview Co-op in Steinbach, Manitoba. So it's an independent test. They took a 6.6 Duramax diesel truck. The baseline torque on the dyno was 834 foot-pounds of torque. A single dose of XP3 regular added 11 foot-pounds of torque, and a double dose of the XP3 regular added 16 foot-pounds of torque. Excuse me. So on the back side, this test was done at the Advanced Transportation and Energy Center for Red River College. They were able to determine in a 2-minute test on a small diesel Kubota engine the reduction of carbon dioxide and the reduction of unburnt hydrocarbons. So we were able to get validation from EcoWest, which was working with us on this project, that XP3 does reduce carbon emissions. So for fleets or operations that have an environment-friendly mandate or mission statement, this is one of the technologies they can incorporate and be able to, put that check mark around active measures and steps they're taking to be more environment-friendly. We also did emission testing on 9 pieces of equipment at the City of Winnipeg's Park Division. And then it showed a reduction in CO, CO2, and an improvement in oxygen averaged over all of that equipment. This was like a test done over, I believe it was a 2-month span, being tested on smaller diesel engines. And again, we did get the stamp of validation as a clean tech, eco-friendly, validated technology that helps reduce emission and improve fuel economy from EcoWest, which is a government-funded consulting firm that works with municipalities, government, etc., on ways to be more efficient, from lighting to garbage disposal. They cover the whole gamut. We have 1 main diesel product and 1 main gasoline product. The XP3 diesel is our best seller, but we do also have 2 specialty blends for diesel. One of them is the all-in-one cetane boost. So it's the same product as the XP3 all-in-one, except it has a cetane booster component added to it. This is recommended for equipment running under continuous heavy load or restoring cetane levels in seasonal diesel fuels. And then the second specialty blend for diesel is our all-in-one extreme winter. This converts summer fuel to winter fuel, or if you're already starting with winter fuel, it will convert it to Arctic grade polar diesel. The use for that is mission critical application, emergency response vehicles, ice road truckers, or truckers that are going into the US, filling up with US fuel and coming up to Canada. They will need an extreme amount of anti-gel. The question that we always get is, well, I'm running Canadian diesel fuel because I'm going from east to west. Do I need the extreme all-in-one extreme version of XP3? The answer to that is no. The XP3 regular gives you enough protection that you don't need to go to the extent of an extreme protection product like the diesel extreme winter. Trevor, I've unmuted you. Do you have any questions about those aspects?
No, I think we're doing good.
Okay, awesome. I'll keep rolling here. So when it comes to pricing, XP3 is within the realm of reasonable pricing when you compare it to everything else on the market. In this case, we're talking about the gasoline product. The bottle of XP3 that treats 570 liters is about $23, which puts you at a 4.2 cents per liter to treat. So if you're filling up your gas tank with 50 liters of gasoline, it'll cost $2 approximately to treat that fuel. By comparison, if you look at the 13.1, that's a can of Seafoam. A can of Seafoam is about $10, and it treats 95 liters. So to be able to treat 570 liters, you would need approximately 6 cans of Seafoam. That brings you at $60 instead of $23. So XP3 is legitimately 3 times cheaper than a lot of the consumer grade, retail grade products that you find on the market. Now for diesel, you're looking at about 3.3 cents per liter to treat or less. And again, price is one thing, but functionality, I believe, is more important than price. Buying something for cheap that doesn't do what it says on the bottle, or in some cases does more damage than good when you're talking about, burning more dirty and causing you more regen cycles, you're better off not even using it. So a product that is well priced, that provides you proper functions, is the best bargain or the best value. We'll just talk a little bit about our cetane boosted product, because people want to know if they double dose, triple dose, 10x dose, do they get more performance? And across the board, every test that I've seen done, the first shot or the first treatment gives you the biggest bump. And then when you double dose, triple dose, 10x dose, you're getting incremental bumps. So you're not double every time that you dose up. Now, there's a lot of variables that factor into this, depending on what kind of fuel you're starting with. If you're starting with a fuel that has maybe 35 points cetane, which is out of spec, the single, double, triple might do, truly put like 5, 5, 5, but then at one point you're going to start getting incremental gains. Here's something a lot of people don't realize. North America has one of the lowest standards for diesel when it comes to the cetane. In the North America, to be considered spec fuel, the cetane is 40. The only exception to that is California, which is interesting because California has always been a leader in emission-related initiatives, and it's not a fluke that they mandate 53 cetane in diesel, because the higher the cetane, the better that engine will perform and the less emissions. Europe is 51. This year it's going to be going up to 55. And in Finland, their minimum is 60, but you can even get 70 for premium diesel. So I just share this with customers for them to realize that our standard for cetane in diesel fuel in North America is very low compared to other parts of the world. Another thing is let's say you take a Volkswagen Jetta, diesel Jetta, and they do the fuel test in Europe and they're getting 65 miles per gallon. And then they bring that same car to North America, US or Canada, doesn't matter. And then instead of 65, you're getting 50 miles per gallon. It's the same car, same everything. What's the difference? Well, our fuel quality in North America is lower than Europe. So low cetane causes loss of power, poor starting, and poor fuel economy. This is just a chart that on a test that we did with the extreme winter. So this was done in a laboratory. The base fuel was rated at -27. Single dose XP3 extreme winter gave 24 degrees of extra cold weather protection. And then when we doubled and triple dosed the test, we saw incremental gains. So unless you're running a mission critical diesel powered unit, that could be like an ambulance or a fire truck or an ice road trucker that never wants to go down, or even a diesel standby generator in some remote communities, you might want to use the XP3 Extreme Winter, but the XP3 Regular does give you sufficient protection against gelling. And again, that's what we recommend in North America. A lot of fleets want to know in writing that whatever they're using will not affect their warranty. So XP3 is 100% warranty safe, warranty compliant. It will not void your warranty. And the main reason is because it actually improves the ASTM specification of the fuel. It doesn't degrade it. So 100%, never since the last 30 years, there's never even been an attempted claim of any damage by any company with the XP3 product. So a lot of people want to actually see this in writing, and the manufacturer does provide that in writing. So just an overview, benefits that you gain with XP3. Of course, you get reduced downtime, reduced maintenance, reduced repairs. If you have a Tier 4 equipped diesel engine, it will reduce your regen cycles. They'll last not as long, and the intervals will be longer. So if you had your regen cycle kick in, let's say once every 4 days, and it lasted half an hour, you can go down to 3, maybe even 2 days, and then the regen cycle will last 20 minutes. That obviously extends the DPF filter life, and it will reduce your DEF consumption. Lubricity for injectors and injector pumps. Everybody knows that the right kind of lubricity in your diesel will make your injectors and your injector pump last longer. Very important. Cold weather operability, we spoke about that already. And if you have any diesel being stored in bulk tanks, slip tanks, yard tanks, transportation, those are the harshest environments that diesel is exposed to. And the heavy sediment stuff will go to the bottom of your tank, will create sludge. Then there'll be a layer of water, and then there'll be a layer of microbes that live in there. By being able to stabilize the fuel and fully disperse the water and not have it in the bottom of the tank, you're able to prevent the conditions that would cause massive problems in your storage tanks, transportation tanks, etc. I'm going to take you off mute. Trevor, how's it going?
Good.
Any questions? We're just going to do a recap, and then we can go into an open Q&A.
Yeah, no, I think we're doing good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so just a quick recap. XP3 stands for extra power, extra performance, extra protection. On the power, it increases your torque and horsepower. It boosts fuel economy, reduces pollution because you're burning it more as energy, less of it as waste. It's easier on your Tier 4 emission control post-combustion equipment. performance, keeps fuel safe and at spec, disperses water and moisture, keeps your injectors cleans and removes all the carbon and soot and deposit. It also prevents oxidation of the fuel, and it's an effective biocide, and it's a good stabilizer. And it protects also on the engine oil side of things. So if you have a more complete burning fuel, you will have less heavy metals seep through the cylinder walls and ending up in your oil, which exacerbates the breaking down of the oil. So fleets that have used oil sample analysis to trigger their oil changes have seen an increase of up to 25% longer oil life in the bottom end of their engine. So even though XP3 is a fuel-related product, you will see, or fleets will see, a positive benefit on the bottom end of with their oils lasting longer because of the more complete burning of the fuel and less heavy metals seeping down through the cylinder walls. We have a sales counter reference sheet that walks people through the different tests to do. Those QR codes will trigger the video for each of the tests, whatever the fleet or the customer is interested in. And then on the back side of that sheet, you'll have some of the most common part numbers, along with the cost to treat per liter that you can reference as well. Our part numbering is very simple. The first letter is what the product is, and the second letter is how much fuel that container will treat. So G is for gasoline, D is for diesel, DC is diesel cetane, and DW is for the diesel extreme winter. An example, the D4000 part number is the XP3 diesel that treats 4,000 liters. The G570 bottle is the gasoline XP3 that treats 570 liters. So when you have a customer looking for a specific product and you're talking over the phone or whatnot, and they say, yeah, give me a case of D4000, everybody knows what they're talking about. You don't have to cross-reference a cryptic part number. Just a couple of case studies here that we've recently got from customers. This was a fleet that ran this truck, same load. They had historical fuel records for months and months and months, hovering around 57 liters per 100 kilometers is what they always got. They ran 10 tanks with the XP3 diesel, the regular all-in-one. It went from 57 liters per 100 kilometers down to 53, a 7% improvement. And they ran 10 tanks additionally with the cetane product. Some engines will respond better to cetane than others. In this case, it was identical. And probably because once that truck reaches highway speed and they're on cruise control, that engine is probably at the sweet spot of the torque range on cruise control. And it was a highway transport truck. I think they were hauling fuel. It was fairly heavy load that they were hauling. So what does that mean? Oh, this was over a 7-week period. What that means is for every $100,000 of diesel consumed, they're saving approximately $5,000 after the input costs of XP3. So again, positive ROI right from tank one, and anything over and above that, like the added lubricity, the protection against gelling, the protection against water and moisture, all of that extra stuff is basically bonus. Here's another fuel test. 2 New Holland combines running the same fields at the same speed. One was using XP3, the other one was not. The machine with using XP3 consumed 5.49% less fuel than the non-treated combine. Here's another test. This was the long-term test where they were using oil analysis to trigger oil changes. They saw a reduction in sulfur, soot, chrome, lead oxidation in their oil. And again, it extended their oil change intervals by about 25%. They also saw a greater than 5% fuel economy. And they also did a fuel injector test. So before the test, they pulled out the injectors and documented the way that they looked. They ran 5,000 kilometers of XP3 treated fuel. And when they pulled the injectors out, they were clean, like you see in that picture for before and after. when you talk about gelling, this is the cat rental store in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Every year they were averaging about 80 incidents of fuel-related problem with gelling. The winter of 2017, 2018, they were using XP3 in their heating oil, their diesel, and their gasoline on all of their rental equipments, and had 0 calls, 100% uptime. Same thing with 2018, 2019, and same thing right now for 2019, 2020 winter, which they're in right now. So they have seen firsthand how much time, money, pain, problems it could help resolve. And again, that's the cat rental store in Winnipeg, Manitoba. This gentleman here has a tractor that he had since brand new, kept fuel records since brand new, averaging 20 hours of operation per tank in his fields. When he started using the XP3 to treat his diesel fuel, he gained 2 hours extra. So huge savings on fuel costs for this type of application. Marc Springer from A&E Shipping Wars, a lot of people know who he is. At the 2012 SEMA show in Las Vegas, we had met him and gave him a sample to try, and he immediately said there's a video of springer.xp3.ca if you want to see his testimonial. But he was interviewed by Mr. Truck at the SEMA show about this product, and yeah, he was super impressed. Way more power, way more quiet engine on his Kenworth T600 there that you see in the back. So the bottom line in all of this, the informed user of fuel additives is always going to choose an industrial strength commercial grade product over a retail consumer grade product. The key in this sentence is informed. You as a rep or a salesperson needs to take an educational based approach to this product, because it is an industrial product, and the people that don't know what they don't know, that's our job, to educate them and inform them and compare with what they might have used in the past, so that they know that the product that they're using is doing what it's intended on doing. And if it's not, then we can give them options to look at stuff that will. So I've unmuted you, Trevor. Do we want to jump into a Q&A, and do you want me to stop the recording, I guess, and we could just talk about whatever?
Sure, yeah, whatever you figure.